Grace, did you meet with David and Megan?
Yeah, I told them that there's somebody participating on this. I assume it's one of the members.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't assume anybody, wants to go on, they can. Live, mics are on, everything's good. And member Bro is in.
Has he zoomed in?
He just called me to say that he is waiting for some sort of clarification or acceptance. One more minute, everyone. We're trying to let back. Yeah. Need to work, Mark. I was just gonna say, I'm sort of feel like a fish. Oh, no, that's not the right analogy. I feel like somebody watching a monitor on a platform. Just watch the cursor jump around. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Just trying to make sure one of the board members can get in okay. Yeah. These are interesting because the last time I was having trouble with the glare, I just couldn't see. And I just told, oh, well, I was telling you and Stephen, just chime in, interrupt, because I can't quite see the hand being raised up. But is he under the panelist?
No, he's logged in and he just message logged in.
Say it again.
It doesn't automatically log you in as a panelist. You go through the link. You have to be added in.
Yeah.
So if you're an attendee, he's probably waiting.
Can I come back with you?
Yeah, do you have his number?
Excuse me, everyone.
Now, I do with the Zoom link. Okay. So you're able to access the meeting, you're seeing it via Zoom.
Yep, very good.
Back to you.
Yep.
Good, we're all ready? Yes. Okay, that's Steven's present. Right?
Yes, it's just, so that's gonna have to deal with that. Three Zooms, I mean,
Right.
issue.
Yep.
Okay.
Steven, you can hear everything and you can be
I
heard.
can hear you.
That's awesome.
We can hear him.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay,
Good evening.
good.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting for the Board of Ethics. We are in council chambers on March 31st, 2026. It is 5:37 p.m. We are working from an agenda this evening, and first on the agenda, as always, are the introductions. On Zoom tonight, we have member Stephen Bro. With me in
Good
council chambers. Go ahead, Stephen.
Oh, good evening.
With me in council chambers, member Mark Eastman, member John King, member Cody Silknutter, Assistant City Solicitor Grace Ennis, legal counsel for the board recently, Ed Gould. I am member Shane Leonard and also the chair. Next up is electing the chair. Typically, we do this the first meeting of every new year, and though we did meet recently, it was a bit of an abbreviated meeting. We can handle this tonight quite easily. Let me see, so I don't forget the criteria here. Just a couple things to remember as we go forward. Nominations should be from existing board members of which they are all present, so that's good. That's going to make it easier. Nominations can be accepted or declined. Members have one nomination to make. So hypothetically, if, for example, Cody were to nominate John and John accepted, Cody could not continue to nominate Mark, Stephen, etc. Again, hypothetically, if Cody nominated John and John declined that nomination, Cody still has a nomination to give. Members can nominate themselves. A nomination does not need to be seconded. Nomination is just fine on its own. And like something. No, that's it. The floor is now open for discussion and nominations for chair to the Board of Ethics.
All right, I'll nominate Shane.
I accept.
Then
Thank you. I'm happy to keep doing the work for the board if the members agree. Is there more discussion? Stephen, as always, I'm just gonna keep checking in and make sure the audio and the video works.
Yes, sir. And I second that, although I guess it doesn't need to be.
That's okay. Thank you. I don't want to swoop in too quickly and seem like a despot.
Congratulations.
Is there a motion to move to vote? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion to move and vote has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, starting with you, Stephen. This is for the nomination of Shane Leonard to be chair for the Board of Ethics. How do you vote?
Aye.
Mark?
yes.
John?
Yes.
Cody?
Yes.
I don't have to abstain, do I?
No.
I vote for myself. It seems strangely ethical and unethical there. That's five votes for, none against. Thank you, everyone. Next up, again, as we would do every year, is the training from the solicitor's office. Tonight, the training will be done by the Assistant City Solicitor, Grace Innes. And if you are ready,
I am.
the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I give this every year. Two of you I don't think I've met before, so I'm gonna go through this a little slower, but if you have any questions, let me know. And if you can't think of any questions and you think of one tomorrow morning, you can always call my office and I can back to you. So I'll start with the Freedom of Access Act. So we call that FOA. It's a state statute that has two purposes. Actions of public bodies should be taken openly and public records should be open to public inspections. The idea of FOA is that public proceedings exist to aid in the conduct of the people's business. So there are two prongs, public proceedings and public records. Board hearings like this one are public proceedings. As such, they must be advertised and open to the public. This was advertised by Mary, so our office handles that. Accordingly, section 4.1 of your procedural rules states that ex parte contacts between board members and the individual who is the subject of the ethics referral are not permitted, nor is any ex parte communication regarding a pending matter. So that would be like going out of the meeting and having a conversation with not the applicant, but the person that is the subject of the investigation. This means you should not discuss meeting matters with the individual who is the subject of the matter outside the meeting or conduct any investigation on your own outside of publicly noticed board meetings. Board members should not discuss board matters with each other outside of board meetings either. Section 5.3 of the rules states that the meetings are open to the public under FOA except for properly convened executive sessions. So executive sessions close the public proceeding only for certain very specific statutorily authorized reasons. Some of these reasons your board might go into executive session would be to conduct an investigation regarding a public official under certain circumstances, consulting your board's attorney regarding the legal rights and duties of the board, or reviewing and discussing information contained in confidential records. These would be on the agenda as an executive session. You won't have to know that you need to go into executive session. A motion to enter executive session must indicate the statutory basis and precise nature of the business of the executive session. The attorney advising your board can assist you in making the proper motion to go into executive session. No other matters may be considered during the executive session, and no official actions may be finally approved in executive session. Members of the board should avoid discussion of substantive matters verbally outside of a board meeting and by email, text, or social media. So this gets into records. The intent of the state FOA law is that actions and deliberations of the city and its boards be taken openly and that records of actions be open to public inspection. You may assume that any record that is in possession of the city of Bangor or any public official involving the business of the city is considered public unless a statute or other law makes that document not public. There are a number of statutes that create exceptions to these rules, but FOA is pretty broad. So it's safe to assume that any documents or communications created or received by a board member involving the business of the board is a public record. Written communications include texts, emails, social media posts, and messaging, or any other electronic communication regarding city business. All communications regarding the business or activities of the city should be considered a public record, even if it's on your personal device. We do recommend that you create an email address that you use specifically for this board. If you do that, just, like an email, a Gmail account or something, just a free email account. But if you do create that, you do need to let the city clerk's office know so that we can update your contact information in our systems. Moving into decision-making of the board. So the investigative function of this board has, the investigation function this board has and its advisory opinions it is authorized to make are subject to due process requirements. Article 4 of the procedural rules spell out some of the due process considerations the board should follow. Due process is the requirement that legal decision-making matters be resolved according to established rules and principles and that individuals be treated fairly. The commitment to due process requires that the board and its members proceed in a way that is unbiased, fair, and impartial. This means that board members may not discriminate unlawfully against any person because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, age, physical or mental disability, genetic information, gender identity, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, cultural group, or political status per section 33-5.1 of the Ethics Code. Article 2, section 2.2 of the procedural rules requires that all regular board members present at the meeting must vote on every item unless excused from consideration of an item because of a conflict of interest. So this gets into the Code of Ethics, which is you guys' code. So the declaration of policy under the Code of Ethics is that city employees, city councilors, and members of the city's boards, committees, and commissions are required to maintain a standard of conduct that would inspire public confidence in the integrity of the city's government. There's a section about conflict of interest. So board members are not permitted to participate in the deliberation or vote on any agenda item before their collective body in which they or a member of their immediate family has a financial or special interest other than an interest held by the public generally. Any board member who believes that he or she may have a conflict should disclose the potential conflict to the board before any substantive discussion is had on the agenda item. When in doubt, it's always best to err on the side of disclosure. Once a potential conflict is disclosed, the board should ask specific questions about the facts of that potential conflict. If there is a conflict disclosed, we will help you through what kind of facts you might want to ask about and that kind of thing. If the board votes by a majority of the voting members that a member does indeed have a conflict, that board member should give up his or her seat at the table and should not take any discussions, deliberations, or vote on the item. Getting into gifts, board members may not accept gifts, favors, or other things of value in return for a decision the board is making. Confidential information, if you receive information that is marked confidential, you may not use it for your benefit and you may not share it with others. It will be marked as confidential though, if you do receive it. Use of titles and disclaimers. Elected or appointed city officials may use their titles only upon the following circumstances. 1, when doing so doesn't violate any other provision of the Code of Ordinances, state law, or federal law. And 2, when A, the city council has specifically authorized the official to speak on behalf of the city, or B, the information conveyed is consistent with the official position of the city and references to the appropriate decision by or a position of the city council or the decision of the applicable board, commission, or committee that makes the official position of the city. And C, when it is made clear and unambiguous that the official is speaking in his or her own individual capacity and not on behalf of the city or the city council, board, committee, or commission. Disclaimers are required when there may be ambiguity regarding the capacity in which elected or appointed official is communicating, and the goal of the disclaimer is to remove the ambiguity. Statements may be things like, speaking as an individual, or although I hold the office of blank, these remarks should not be interpreted as representing my office or the city of Bangor's official policy. Section 33-13.1B2C of the Code of Ethics makes it the public official's duty to ensure that there is no ambiguity about whether the public official is speaking in his or her individual capacity and not on behalf of the city, the board, or the committee. Moving on to social media, which kind of falls under this. Board members should not be perceived as representing the city in their social media posts. They could either disclose on their social media page or in their posts that they're speaking in their personal private capacity and not as a representative of the city. Board members should avoid posting their views on the city. Section 33-7.1 of the Code of Ethics provides parameters to be followed when using social media while working or during activities related to work for the public. Its purpose is to offer a way for the public to be able to distinguish between your personal opinions and comments made in your official capacity. Section 33-7.1D provides language you should use when using social media so the public knows you're expressing personal views and not any official view or the view of the board. I know that in my social media page, I have in my bio that these are my own views and not the views of the city of Bangor. So I know that might have been a lot of information to take in. Does anybody have any questions? All right, well, if you think of any, please feel free to reach out to me. And I will get back to you with an answer.
Stephen, did you have anything for Grace while she was here?
No, I do not. Nope. This sounds eerily familiar from what we've heard the last couple of years. So nope,
Yes.
I am perfectly good with it. Although it's never bad to hear a refresher.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next up on the agenda would be the approval of our minutes from our March 4th, 2026 meeting in our packets and delivered to us. If there's any discussion about anything that anyone saw wrong or needed to be amended, here now. Otherwise, there's a motion to approve the minutes as they are.
Seconded.
Vote to approve the minutes. Stephen, you would vote how?
Affirmative.
Yes. Mark?
Yes.
John? Cody? I'm a yes as well. That is approved. And now the unfinished business. That would be the Council Order 25-282. The City Councilor Wayne Maller's actions during the August 14th, 2025 Historic Preservation Commission meeting. And first up on our procedure is to review all the voluntary statements and records that we've been given. I know that, excuse me, I know that you may or may not have had the tangible copy, but there was a electronic packet mailed out, and I would assume at this point, if there were any questions we had, this is where we would bring it up, even though later in the procedure we have the board discussion, but that is after the fact. Right now, we would have a question about only the packet material, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I would affirm that everybody's had a chance to review it, and if anybody had anything in addition that they'd like to see.
Okay. The floor is open for that. If, as Ed had said, is there any question about the information that we've been given or that we've had to review?
Yeah,
Okay.
so when I was reviewing it earlier today, I have a question in regards to maybe getting another statement
Okay.
from, for the board member Quinn in regards to statements that she had said during the, meeting.
Okay.
Because it just, she seems to have a part in this whole situation. And I just want to know from the statements that were given from Steve Sarin in regards to where the legal advice that she was given in regards to her vote on everything on that during that meeting,
During that meeting.
and her not giving and anybody in staff, or city staff, or anybody, where she got that information from. So that's something I would like to know, if that had any relations to connections with the councilman or, the contractors that are involved. So that would be a conflict of interest right there and now.
Is there anything, should we address these one or collect if there are more?
Yeah, I think,
Collect if there are more,
yeah. Well,
or did I guess wrong? Address them one at a time.
what my recommendation would be is, I think right now to find out if there are any other members that want to pursue any further investigation or information.
Okay,
I think that's the best way to address the issue.
is that? Again, we can move these around as necessary. That's not quite board discussion, but that's discussion related to the voluntary statements that we have.
Right.
Okay. So keeping in mind that we're not going to discuss everything at this moment, as Ed has suggested, and as John has pointed out, are there any other members present that have any other requests for anyone to hopefully make a voluntary statement or appear in person to go forward? And this is not terribly unexpected because we have 2 new members, and again, to drop them into the middle of a meeting where they're just going by what members did 5 months ago, I understand is trying a bit of patience, but also to be fair to all members present, maybe they've seen something or read something that we missed. So yeah, of course. And again, as I said, and I'm babbled to get to it, keeping the discussion only about this particular item at this moment, are there any other concerns or requests? I don't see, Stephen, I'm not, I see that Ms. Dyer has raised her hand. This is a board discussion
Right.
at this moment.
Correct.
Ms. Dyer,
Yeah.
Ms. Dyer, I'm not ignoring you, but I would ask that you hold off a bit until we get to the public hearing part, if you don't mind, please. Stephen, I was just about to say I can't see if someone raised their hand, and then I saw that Edith had raised her hand. So I'm sort of assuming that you do or do not.
My only thing that I had wished might have been here would have been a statement from Ann Craig, although I am not 100% certain how much more she would be able to add to the discussion. And we are asking for voluntary statements. If the city has reached out to her, communicated that to her, and she has not come forward, I am going to hazard that this is not a voluntary thing on her part that she cares to do.
Oh, excuse me, Stephen, go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, I am good with moving forward without asking for any other information unless someone else has an idea. Then I'm willing to listen.
Mr. Warren, when I was communicating to you about the wishes of the board, there's no reason to assume, as member Bro has asked, I don't remember including Ann Craig in a request for a personal statement. There was no other opportunity. No one would have just come forward and said anything because we didn't ask that, right? And you succeeded in giving us everything we asked for, but we didn't ask for that. Okay.
For what it's worth, there was a planning staffer who was asked if he'd be comfortable providing a statement, and the planning department was not comfortable providing that same statement.
Stephen, if we proceed forward with this, am I to understand that if we do ask for further statements, you'd like one from Ann?
If she will voluntarily do it, yes.
She would do it, okay. There's no end to the discussion if
I don't have any additional requests. It sounds like the staffer is not comfortable making a statement, and that was gonna be my next ask.
Yep.
I have no additional requests at this time.
So I know,
A public meeting isn't terribly public, we can't hear what the members are saying.
you can't hear us.
Correct.
Who did you not hear?
Didn't hear much what he said, and it's
Okay.
definitely not hearing what he said.
Okay,
So if
yeah.
people raise their voices, it would be appreciated.
Of course,
Sure,
thank you, of course. And John, do you mind going first?
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
I'd like to see about getting Ms. Quinn from the board a statement in regards to where she got the facts that she had stated in the meeting. And legal advice, whether it was a conflict of interest between either the councilman or the contractor. Just to clarify, just to make sure that there's no other loose ends that we need to tie up. So that's what I'd like to see, because it was a very prominent statement in Mr. Fallon's public statement.
Cody, do you mind?
No, all I said was I was going to request a statement from the planning staffer, but it sounds like that's already been inquired and they're not comfortable with providing a statement at this time.
Better, and sincerely, like, better, yeah, I understand. We're used to talking to each other and not projecting, and of course Cody's back is to you, so he's talking to me. Yeah, one of the things that the board did, if I'm remembering things in order, is that we were, as Grace illustrated too, that we weren't to go off and do private investigations. We were to wait until the information was coming to us, and there was a list initially, and I remember, thankfully, to bring it, what we originally had asked for. That original list was, and maybe this helps you guys, because I don't know if it helps you both, it also might remind everybody else. Originally, the ask was for the unmuted audio from the HPC's August 14th meeting, if that was possible. We didn't quite know exactly how things were run at that point, and maybe though that meeting in recess still retained audio. The city manager's office could not provide that because when the meeting was in recess, the audio was muted. We asked for if there was any video for the meeting, even though for the public that it was a black screen saying recess, if I remember that right, recess. There is no additional stored camera footage, so there was nothing there, but we asked for that. We asked for voluntary statements from the members and from Councillor Maller. And there was a question, Stephen had a question about Rick Violet's statement. The one that we had some strike through portions of the written statement, and it was determined at that point that that might have been a printing or a clerical error and that it wasn't necessarily designed to draw our attention to anything. But Mike Mayberry, former member Mayberry, had also asked for the meeting minutes, which we have been given, but we did not have footage of the meeting at that point. So to John's point, we didn't know that there was any information that former member Quinn may or may not have. And again, as that became available to us as a link that we were supposed to watch, and again, this is all public information, but the board did its due diligence and did not overstep in that way. That is a request that I actually think is reasonable based on the time of when we were encouraged to watch the video. If there was anything, again, that sort of catches everything up, and you both have had the opportunity to say if there was more and said things that you didn't know that we had pursued. If there really was anything else to ask for, this is the time to do it. I understand that that extends this meeting beyond today's date because I don't. Do you have any suggestions or counsel for that to go forward?
Yeah, so here's my suggestion. I think first, what you as a board should do is to decide as a board whether or not you want to ask Ms. Quinn for a voluntary statement. And if that is the consensus of the board, that that should be obtained, then the next question is, what do you do with the rest of today? And you know, your option is to go forward and then reconvene
Right.
if and when that statement comes in, or simply table things tonight till you know what the entire universe
Right.
of your record will be.
Well, I do think since there's gonna be some public statements, we should at least hear those. We should at least go through some of the stuff, get some questions answered, but then still like postpone the actual findings until maybe like next meeting, once we get information.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if it's something we're gonna vote on, whether we want it or not, I don't think we really need it. I mean, it's only asking for a voluntary statement that we might not get anyway, and I don't think from all the other stuff that we have that I would absolutely.
You are not coming through.
Oh,
Is there like a microphone somewhere?
there was,
Supposed to be talking.
no, there was one.
Now you're back.
Sorry, do you mind if I paraphrase that?
Sure, I guess.
Mark had just said, Stephen, that that he's not sure that postponing to get a voluntary statement that we may not even get is the best way forward. I wonder if it's the board's feeling then that because we have members present who are here to talk and proceed as if we were finishing this evening, that we shouldn't go forward the best that we can and then ask for a voluntary statement from former member Quinn and see if we get it.
If you do that, I think you have to go through the entire set of steps that you need to go through for each meeting. In other words, you know, review what you've received, reconvene public hearing.
Yep.
And then have further discussion and a vote at that time.
If hypothetically we did the meeting as it was planned for this evening and there was no voluntary statement given at our next meeting, we could just proceed with the vote.
Yeah.
We would have everything up to the vote finished
Yes.
instead of asking everyone to come again.
I mean,
Because the only thing different would be, again, presumably anyway, and I don't know. The only thing different between the conclusion of this meeting and the beginning of that next meeting would be a voluntary statement by former member Quinn.
right.
But we would still, of course, we would have everything posted, of course, we would
Yeah.
do the documents because we have to do that as our procedure. We would allow for a public hearing, but if everyone here that was here for a public hearing spoke, then, I mean, they could come back, but
Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, because of the way that the procedural rules are written.
Yeah.
I think you would have to have a public hearing.
yeah,
But if no one came to speak
right,
that had not spoken
Yep.
before, or had spoken before, I mean, they don't get two bites at the apple.
Right.
I would think with the exception of Councillor Mallard, because he has the option to go last
yes,
and then
Yes.
address whatever has come before.
sure. It's not quite that time, but I am curious. Yes, sir.
Our statements are going to be based in part on the record that you have obtained or may obtain.
Yes,
So our preference would be, if you want more information, get that information so that we can then have a public hearing, so the public is involved and knows everything that you're considering.
yes.
Not get our information now and then get more information later.
I understand. Yes, please.
Can I
No,
make
no.
a suggestion?
Please. Yes, that's. Go
I
ahead.
think, sorry, Steve. I think as a preliminary matter, because a lot of what we're talking about is if this, then
Right.
that. I think a preliminary matter, you ought to discuss whether or not you want to go forward and get a statement from Ms. Quinn.
Mhm.
If you don't, then we just go forward
Right.
tonight as planned. And then if you do, you gotta decide how you want to structure.
So the
Because
best,
there are a lot of issues that
yep,
are gonna attach to bring new evidence.
I see. The best way may be then to, if all members agree, if there's a motion to end the discussion and vote to whether or not we inquire of former member Quinn, and the board votes on that as we would go forward. Is that amenable to everybody? Okay, excuse me, is there a motion to end discussion and vote on this matter? Yes, second? Is there a second?
Yes.
Thank you. Stephen, in the matter of seeking a voluntary statement from former Historic Preservation Commission member Quinn, how do you vote?
No.
Mark?
No.
John?
Yes.
Cody?
Yes.
I interrupt the vote to ask a clarifying question.
Sure.
If we proceed to get that, we will run the meeting the way it is scheduled for this evening and only
Well,
potentially add that on.
well, it's up to you whether or not you want to table it until you get everything and do it all at once, or proceed tonight and then reconvene and find out whether or not there's going to be additional information on the record in the form of a statement from Commission Member Quinn.
I vote no. That would be 3 against and 2 for. In the review of any other statements and records, is there any other question or concern before we proceed?
Negative.
Thank you, Stephen. Gentlemen, anything, no, anything else from anyone? No. Moving on to the next portion of that then would be review voluntary statements, review all records requested. I should have said in the beginning, and I did not, prior to this meeting, there were no additional documents or records given to me. You had not received anything from anybody at all. So everything that we had, barring what we just discussed, is present.
Yeah.
So we are now at the public hearing portion of the meeting. Before I open the floor, just a couple of things to consider. Anyone who comes before the board will have 3 minutes to speak and should direct probably that to me as the chair, not anyone else in the galley or at the table. What else have I, the easiest of obvious things like the city council has, there's no personal attacks. Keep the discussion and the comment to the topic that's on hand and only on hand, please. If there is any repetitious behavior or any leeway in that, your time may be paused while the chair interrupts to clarify or correct. If upon that moment everything is fine, you'll have the rest of your time. Otherwise, you may forfeit that time. If these are amenable to you, then one at a time, please approach the podium, state your name, your place of residence, not your address necessarily, but your city or town, and the floor is open for the public hearing portion of this meeting.
Mr. Dyer, Warren Blau.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, if we can go with Edith Dyer, who's got her hand raised. That was in the back of my head, I swear. Promise.
Hi, Sorry, it took me a second.
Okay, that's
So
quite all right.
thank you. So just when I was thinking that my statement might have been long-winded, I think it's proving to be relevant based on the gaps in your evidence, considering I was at the meeting. First and foremost, my name is Edith Dyer. I'm Stephen Farron's wife. I live in Bangor. Quickly, from November through October of 2025, we've been dealing with the Historic Preservation Commission attempting to get a certificate of appropriateness for replacing our slate roof with a slate facsimile. An engineer recommended it be replaced. Our insurance company demanded that we replace the roof no later than June, otherwise our insurance would not be renewed. We were denied a certificate of appropriateness during our November appearance. We appealed to the board, starting with the Board of Appeals hearing. Councillor Wayne Meller has taken an unusual, almost fanatic interest in our roof. While I question the propriety of sitting councillor appearing as an advocate before the board that he has a hand in appointing, more significantly, Mr. Meller appeared before the Board of Appeals and lied. He lied about two different matters. First, in advocating against anyone being allowed to replace the slate with asphalt, he said, and I quote, "I believe historic preservation does not consider the cost of doing something. If it's much greater, that's not a consideration to use." That is absolutely incorrect. Preservation Brief 16, prepared by the Department of the Interior and used to guide HPC decisions, states on page 8 that substitute materials may be reasonable to consider where in-kind replacement is prohibitively expensive. Second, Councillor Maller also lied when he claimed the Historic Preservation Commission has never permitted slate to be replaced by a substitute material. There have been several such instances, including but not necessarily limited to 136 Broadway, 140 to 142 Hammond Street, 401 Pushaw, 17 Pond Street, 208 French Street, and the Waterworks. If Mr. Meller is going to present information to the municipal board, at least he ought to not lie about it. Much more distressing is Mr. Meller's conduct at the most recent HPC meeting on August 14th. When it came our turn to agenda, on the agenda, our representative asked for a brief recess in order to meet with Ann Craig and John Hamer. While my husband and our representative and Ms. Craig and Mr. Hamer met in the hallway, Councillor Meller completely unsolicited approached the members of the HPC who had remained in their places. He stated that he wanted the HPC to know that the case was procedurally incorrect and shouldn't be heard in this venue. He argued that the case needed to be in Superior Court. He had a thick stack of papers with an official City of Bangor letterhead, and it was evidence that he intended to distribute those documents. He also stated that the City Council disagreed with this case at the HPC level and wanted HPC members to reconsider the hearing our case, that we should be denied the opportunity to be heard. He made it very clear that he was there on behalf of City Council and that he was a representative of the city. I'm unaware of the City Council ever having taken a position on our attempt to get a certificate of appropriateness. We were certainly never notified of our roof being a City Council agenda item. I verbally requested that City Councilor Maller return to his seat and stated that he was acting inappropriately for approaching the bench during a recess while the video and microphones were not recording. He denied the inappropriate nature of his behavior and had to be told by Chairperson Chernevsky to return to the public seating area. While City Councilor Maller was a private citizen. Yes.
I apologize for interrupting you. Your 3 minutes have come.
Okay. Thank you.
Would you please stay here for a moment if you
Yes.
if you don't mind?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Just a few moments, please. Does anyone on the board have any questions for Ms. Dyer?
No, I don't.
Ms. Dyer, I didn't explain this in the beginning, and I apologize. I thank you for exposing that I overlooked this. Anyone at the public portion of this meeting, the members of this board can ask follow-up questions. You are not obligated to answer any of these, but I neglected to say that. I apologize. I just want to make sure that before we're done, if anyone had any questions for you, they had a chance to ask.
Understood.
Anything? No. That's fine. Stephen, did you have anything that you would like to ask Ms. Dyer?
I do not. I have read through the portion of the testimony she did not get to. Nope. No, I do not.
I had a couple of quick things for you, ma'am, if you don't mind. You're still there?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes,
In your statement, you said that he stated that, excuse me, he stated he wanted the HPC to know that the case was procedurally incorrect and shouldn't be heard in this venue.
yes.
You personally heard that, or you were told someone told you he said that?
No, I heard it. I was in the front row and I was the only one that didn't go into the hall out of the group, which included my husband and Rick Violet and the two representatives of the city.
You also, in your statement, said, and I just want to be clear about something, that he had meaning Councilor Mallard, he had a thick stack of papers with official City of Bangor letterhead. It was evident he intended to distribute those documents. You were there for the entire meeting, is that correct?
That is correct.
Did Councilor Mallard distribute any documents?
No, but he was intending to before asked to return to his seat. That it looked as if it was his intention to distribute them to the board members.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that if you were present for the whole, that if you saw or you did not.
Oh, yes.
I do have a question.
Sure, yeah, go ahead, John.
Now, after that, you said that Councilor Mallard stated that the city council disagreed with the case. Did you hear that from him, or were you told that? Kind of a similar question to the other part.
This was all a part of the meeting that I was present for and sat in the front row. So I did have good audio of his interactions.
Okay, and did he state why it was the city council had an interest in it? Or did he just state that it was a city council disagreed with it? Did he say why?
He said that it was procedurally incorrect and that it shouldn't be heard in this venue. He stated that it should be heard in the Superior Court.
Okay. Stephen, last chance, because I can't see you. Just want to make sure before.
Well, actually, I do have one question. That if you thought Councillor Millar was going to distribute a copy of whatever that he had in his hand, did you not ask for what he might be going to present?
To be honest with you, I didn't, for the main reason that he and his wife were both at the board in front of the board members. I find Mr. Mallard to be a pretty disturbing person, considering that he's been at every single hearing that my husband and I have ever taken a part of. He has an interest in everything that we're doing, and every time that we have attempted to ask for improvements to our home, and he has vehemently rejected all of them. I have no interest in speaking to him on a personal basis.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. Go ahead, Stephen.
So it's fair to say that there's no love lost between either party. All right. Very good.
Well, I don't think that that's the point necessarily. I just find him I didn't think it was appropriate for me to needle him and ask him for the papers. I saw Bangor letterhead. I saw him approach the bench with his wife. It was inappropriate, and that was my only job, to point out that it was inappropriate before he was allowed to continue to speak during recess.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else on Zoom? If so, I assume, just taking a cursory look here at the screen, that we'll see a hand waved if there were another member of the public present. I will look back again before we conclude. Is there anyone present in the gallery?
My name is Rick Violet. I'm a general contractor. There we go. I'm a general contractor. I help Mr. Farron deal with the issues regarding his roof. First of all, with respect to my statement to the city council, I just reviewed it on my phone. There were no strike throughs on anything that I had. I did present some proposed amendments to the ordinance that had underlines and strike throughs, but in terms of my statement, there's nothing that was intended to be stricken or underlined.
Mr. Farley, I'm going to pause your time for a second. In this copy of your statement, well, for example, do you mind, you come to me, we'll come to each other. I'm not entirely sure if this is the entirety of it, but this section here.
This is a proposed amendment to the ordinance, and strike through shows what we propose to have deleted from the ordinance.
Yep.
Underlining shows what we propose to have added to the ordinance. That is not my statement. That is a proposed amendment that we worked on with a group of historic property owners.
I appreciate the clarification. As the former board the former members who were reviewing this, we may not see very many proposals like that. So what it looked like to the members of that board was that those comments were stricken through. So that
No,
was.
those, like I say, those were not comments. Those were a proposed amendment.
Thank you for clarifying. Are you ready to continue?
Yes.
By all means.
I'm going to be brief. First of all, I am not sure that I understand Mr. Maller's animus toward Steve Farron and Edith Thayer. During the same time frame that Mr. Farron was seeking permission to change his slate roof to asphalt, a resident of West Broadway was attempting to do the same thing, was granted permission, and Mr. Maller didn't attend any of those meetings. So apparently maybe there's different rules that apply to Broadway versus West Broadway, but I don't know why he's had this infatuation with Mr. Farron. And I want to point out something that you folks were just instructed on by the Assistant City Solicitor. I want to call your attention to Ordinance 33-13.1B, which prohibits a counselor from using his or her official title in attempting to speak in behalf of the city when the city hasn't authorized him or her to do so. That's inappropriate. And it was clear at that time, and I was in the hallway, I will admit that, but from what Mrs. Dyer is reporting, he was holding himself out as a counselor speaking for the council. We were instructed to come here by the city's attorney. We were prepared to go to Superior Court to appeal a ruling that had been made, and we were told to come back and do it again. So that's what we did at the behest of the city attorney. Mr. Maller's training as a counselor, certainly his prior training as a member of the Historic Preservation Commission, suggests that he knows better than to do what he did. That's the end of what I've got to say, and I've got a place to be at 6:30. So if you have questions, I would appreciate them to be brief.
Stephen, do you have a question for Mr. Violet?
No, I have read his testimony and see it sufficient.
Any members present have anything that they would like to follow up while we have Mr. Violet here?
No questions for me.
Okay.
Given that we were limited to 3 minutes when we were before the council, Mr. Farron and Ms. Dyer spent more time focusing on Mr. Maller, and I spent more time, as you can see from my statement, focusing on proposed amendments to the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak?
Hillary Simmons, resident of Bangor. Let's be clear about the situation in Bangor. A property owner chose to replace a slate roof without following the requirements set in the city's charter and code. Those rules are not suggestions, they are mandatory. They exist for a reason. Ignoring them is a deliberate decision, not an accident. Now, instead of taking responsibility for that decision, this same individual is attempting to file an ethics complaint against a city councilor. This is not accountability, it is deflection. And quite frankly, it's absurd. Ethics complaints are meant to address legitimate concerns about misconduct in government. They are not a shield to hide behind when someone fails to follow the rules themselves. Using the ethics process in this way cheapens it and undermines its purpose. You cannot disregard the law on one hand and claim ethical high ground on the other. That is not how accountability works. If we expect integrity from our elected officials, and we absolutely should, then we must also expect individuals to follow the same rules that govern everyone else. There cannot be one standard for the public and another one for those who simply choose to ignore it.
Simmons, I apologize, I've stopped your time. I just want to be clear, is your public statement about the city's ethics, or is it more on point to the issue that we're dealing with?
The issue and why it's before the ethics board. So what I'm stating is this is
You seem to be, and again, I'm gonna, unless this is a strange row all of a sudden, you're gonna have the rest of your time.
Yeah.
It just seems that you're lecturing about the code of ethics and not the specifics of the issue itself that we're talking about tonight.
It's about the complaint being brought against somebody. So if they're stating one thing as far as you didn't do X, Y, and Z, I believe there was a quote unquote statement in the Bangor Daily News in regards to, I'll do what I want, the city can deal with me after. So if you're holding a city councilor responsible for a particular situation in hand, we need to hold the person that made that complaint responsible for their dealings in this action too. It's not a one-sided street.
I interrupted you. Do you have your place found?
Mm-hmm.
You may continue.
So we also must expect individuals to follow the same rules that govern everyone else. There cannot be one standard for the public and another for those who simply choose to ignore it. This situation is not complicated. The rules were in place. They were not followed. And now the focus is being redirected instead of addressed. This is unacceptable. Thank you.
Ma'am? Stephen, it's easy to start with you. Just again, as always, I just can't see from Zoom. Did you have any question at all for Hillary?
No, I do not.
Okay. Anyone present have anything that they would like to ask the speaker? Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Simmons, so you clearly stated that the rules were broken in regards to the requests that they had for their slate roof.
Correct.
Which rules were broken? You were stating that were broken that would cause a rift between the councilman and the parties involved.
Was the application went how it should, correct? The historical board voted it down. Instead, Mr. Farron just decided, I'm just going to remove the slate roof and put in on a new roof, and I'll deal with the city after. So essentially, he was throwing the city's ordinances, code, charter out the window and deal with me later situation.
Well, that was a broad question.
So now it looks to me, on an outsider looking into this situation, this is payback. This is we didn't really hear anything. We're assuming that somebody came to a meeting with letterhead. Do you know how many things that I have printed for the city of Bangor that has the city of Bangor letterhead on it? I could bring in that whole, and someone could say, oh, well, you have a letterhead of the city of Bangor, you're going to distribute something. Did anyone see any official letters? Did they see anything? I mean, this is a he said, she said, and we're wasting valuable time that, again, to begin with, it should never be here because the real person that violated the code and the charter of the city was never held responsible for their actions to begin with.
Well, what we're here for, what we're here to discuss is the actions of Mr. Mallard at that meeting approaching
Yeah, so did you see any, did paperwork get passed out?
That's what we're here to, that's what we're here to do.
Mhm.
So it doesn't involve what the Farron family has done. It's, we're talking about what the councilman had done, whether or not he had broken the ethics committees.
But
So that's what the core of our discussion is. So what I want to know is, did he state what was in the statements? Did he make any unethical or anything that broke the ethics rules in that meeting? Okay, I don't, the whole HPV, the historical preservation stuff between then and now does not affect us. Whatever policies and whatever votes that they had doesn't affect us. We're here for what happened and what the ethical conveyance is. If we find nothing wrong, great. If we find something, that's a whole different story. That's what we're here for, not for a broad, broke this, broke that. We're here for a certain pinpoint situation that happened. So if you know of any reason why he would approach the bench and make the statements he said, we would love to know. If not, I mean, I'm done with my questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's perfectly fine.
I'm sorry?
Then I just said I thought I was gonna do the whole scenario point. That's on you guys.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Sonia Mauer
Yes.
and I live in Bangor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mauer and I came here to the meeting as ordinary citizens. Mr. Mauer never stated that he was a counselor. Miss Dyer is the only one that has ever stated at that meeting that he was a counselor. Mr. Mauer had no paperwork to pass out to any members in attendance. Mr. Mauer and I have served on the board, the Historic Preservation Board, before. We know the code, the rules, and what you need to follow. The next step for Mr. Farron was to take the the problem to Superior Court, which he chose not to do. The city itself violated its own code and everything by allowing Mr. Farron to return to several more meetings. That had never been done before in the history of historic preservation. I lost my train of thought now, you excuse me.
You have time, ma'am.
Do I have time?
You're only at 1minute and 40 seconds.
Okay, so Mr. Farron went ahead and decided what he wanted to do. Mr. Farron and his attorney, so to speak, went out in the hallway. There was a pause. Mr. Mauer did go up to ask if there was a procedural, when he could ask a procedural question of the chairperson. Miss Dyer yelled and screamed, "Counselor Mauer is approaching the bench." And that's when all the excitement started to take place. Thank you. Any questions for me?
I'll find out for you, ma'am. Just 1 second. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Stephen, do you have any questions for Ms. Mauer?
I will abstain at present.
Okay. Other members, if there are any? Yeah, John?
Now, I know you stated that he never stated that he was a councilman.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
He never spoke. He never got a chance to speak. So when would he ever said he was Counselor Mauer?
hypothetically, if, let's say, the president walked in the building, even though he didn't state he was the president, we would all know by knowledge that he is the president. So just because, my question is, do you think that it's assumed that, yes, he's a councilman, so everybody knows he's a councilman. When he goes to up to the, do you assume that that would be okay when it's in recess to speak to the board? Is it?
Does that mean just because Mr. Maller is a council person, he doesn't still retain being an ordinary citizen and cannot attend a meeting under the city of Bangor as an ordinary citizen? Is that what you're inferring?
I'm inferring that as a councilman, that would it be correct, knowing that you're a councilman and that the perceived vision of him going to the board during a recess may be perceived as unethical? Is that possible that you could see that?
No, because he never stated anywhere in that meeting. And at the Board of Appeals meeting, Mr. Mallett and I both stated we were citizens who had sat on the Board of Historic Preservation before and knew the policy and procedure, the code, what was supposed to take place. And we were disturbed that that was not taking place. We have nothing against Mr. Farron and Miss Dyer other than they're not following rules.
Okay.
They're going against the code, they're defying the city of Bangor. And what's the sense to have these rules if they're not obeyed?
Now, my question would be, just to kind of wrap it up, my question is, at any time, my question is, do you think that we should hold the councilmen and employees of Bangor to a higher ethical sense?
He said nothing unethical.
That's what we're here to find.
It doesn't matter whether he's a council person or a citizen of the city of Bangor. He said nothing unethical at that meeting. And the trouble all started when Miss Dyer yelled out in the meeting. Other than that, we were sitting in the back observing what was going on. Any other questions?
Thank you. I'll pass. Any other questions, Cody? Anything that you have to ask Ms. Mallard? Want me to put you on the spot? I can come back.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, of course.
Could you come back?
Of course.
Thank you.
Mark, did you have anything that you thought to ask? Ms. Mallard, I had a couple things actually. When we were in here for the December, in clarifying questions, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
When we were here on December 17th in the chambers, you also stood up and addressed the board. Former Councilor Dan Tremble was here at that time. And one of the things, and I will preface this by saying I am not 100% positive. I was just trying to find it, but I don't want to waste your time while I fumble at YouTube. I'm fairly certain that you said at that time in regards to the council order regarding Dan Tremble, because former Councilor Tremble's position was that he was acting on his own, not as a city councilor. I'm fairly certain your rebuttal was that everybody knows that you're Councilor Dan Tremble. Do you remember making that statement?
No.
It's okay.
No.
It was you that made that statement. Yeah.
Mm.
I
didn't make the statement, so.
That's why I asked. And again,
I
somebody there, and it was in succession. Thank you, Hillary. I appreciate it. The other thing that I caught that you said that you and your husband have been on the boards for a long time,
Yes,
and specifically the Historic Preservation Society.
yes.
You said something just a little bit ago. You said that your husband approached the board to find out when he could speak.
When he could ask a procedural question because nobody had addressed anything and he just wanted to know when he could ask what the procedural question that he had to ask.
So he approached to ask when he could speak, and for what.
And he never got a chance to ask the person that question. He just stood there. He never asked the question because Miss Dyer yelled and screamed.
Being on the board, you would think you would know, and I'm speaking to you, I'm not speaking to your husband, but if you've been on that board, you would know when you're allowed to speak or when.
This was the Board of Appeals.
Excuse me, I thought that this was the
No.
Historic Preservation Committee.
No,
So
I know what the historical preservation rules are. Excuse me? Did someone correct me?
excuse me, hang on a second, I understand. Ma'am, please address the chair, which is me, and only me. Thank you.
Would the party then in the audience remain for making comments
Just
while
ask,
I'm speaking, please?
please, we can all.
Thank you.
But of course, we're gonna do the best we can. I jotted down just a simple question, which is, when you're on other boards, how often did you have recesses? Do you remember any? Are they sort of rare? Are they commonplace when you're on a board?
We've had recesses. Yeah, some people get up and they ask questions. Sometimes of the board members, yes. That has happened. That's not unusual.
Okay, Cody. I'd circle back to you if you.
Sure, so, it sounds like Mr. Maller went up to ask a question regarding when he could speak, is that correct?
He was going to ask a question, could he speak?
Yeah, he wasn't going to.
Folks, I am going to interrupt for just a minute.
Sorry, Cody.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah. Master Control, can you go back and turn the volume up a little bit? I am struggling to hear you folks, and I know it is not my device. The master volume feed just needs to be a little bit louder.
Stephen, are you having any trouble hearing me right now?
Right in this moment, no.
Yeah.
If people look down or away from the microphone, which evidently around the table is overhead, volume drops.
Okay, thank you for letting us know.
So a
it's
bump
very
in
difficult to
just
hear.
turn the master gain up a bit, and it should solve it.
1 second, Cody, ma'am, please.
You people need to remember to speak up because some of you are back to us and we can't hear you when you're talking amongst yourselves
I understand.
as far as the meeting is concerned.
You do better there. Mr. Warren, is there anything that you can do on the gain?
I could work.
You can? Okay, Stephen, we're gonna try. Cody, if you don't mind raising it a bit.
And I am sorry for interrupting this, but I am struggling to hear this, and I know my device has much louder capability.
Okay, no, it's good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Cody, please.
Yeah, okay, sorry, let me make sure I have my together. So he did not go up to express his belief that the HPC should be focused on the Department of the Interior standards for historic preservation when deliberating or deciding.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear about that. And if you're going to show me something, I have to get my glasses.
So Mr. Maller did not go up to express his belief that the HPC should focus on the Department of the Interior standards for historic preservation when deliberating or deciding?
No,
That's my only question.
he never got to ask a question.
I just want to give you the moment to clarify, because it's possible that I misunderstood. When I asked about Mr. Maller approaching and there was some discussion in the galley, you said this was not at the HPC meeting? That this
It was not at the HPC meeting.
So.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was.
Okay, I just want,
I'm sorry.
it's okay, because we're all talking about different meetings and.
Right, we've attended quite a few, and as far as Miss Dyer saying we attended all of the HPC meetings, we did not. There were a couple that we missed because we were away, so we were not at all the HPC meetings. Normally, a group or a person gets to bring their project to HPC, and they can they present it. If they feel it's going to not pass, they can withdraw it and come back at a different time. It was voted on the first time down by HPC. It went to the appeals board.
No,
They voted it down.
and I don't mean to interrupt you. I know the history of this and I don't mean to, we have limited time for public.
I just wanted to make sure that you know that nobody, I don't believe in the history of HPC had been allowed to bring back it 3-4 times after it was turned down. That was not appropriate.
If there are no other questions for Ms. Mallon from the board. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
To Grace's old spot.
Please, if you're okay doing that, yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Stephen Farron, and I'm a resident of Bangor, as most people know. Even though I've never been a city councilor, everybody knows who I am, just as they know who all the city councilors are. We also know that the other person that is speaking is Wayne Maller's daughter. She didn't have to introduce herself as that. Everybody already knew. The reason, as Miss Maller.
One second, please. Ma'am, please, if you don't mind. Thank you. Please go ahead.
As Miss Maller has stated, it could quite very well be unprecedented that my case ever went back to the HPC. The reason for that was because of the actions of Mr. Maller at our original appeals board, which Miss Maller may be mistaking because they spoke at everything, spoke against, lied, as you've seen from other testimony. So that could be a whole big part of it. She's confused by what the facts actually are because she doesn't remember, because it's been so many different things and they've got it all compounded and really have no idea. I'd like to thank you guys for being here, dealing with this ridiculous situation, because we can't get our city councilors to just behave as they should and do their job and let the rest of us do our own job. There were a lot of factors involving my house. I spoke with the city throughout the entire thing. There was nothing unethical on my part. Had there been, they never would have brought me back. They would have sent me to Superior Court. I actually offered to go, and they told me, no, we want to deal with this on our level because of the treatment I received from City Councilor Maller and others in other committees. And that is the reason. So thank you guys for your time. I hope you make the right decision.
Thank you, Mr. Farron. If you don't mind, just for a moment, please. Stephen, do you have anything for Mr. Farron while he's here?
After having read his statement, I am good with that. Thank you. Yep.
Are there any members who have a question for Mr. Farron while he's here?
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask to clarify, you also were like, for the actual events in question, you were not there. You were not in the room.
I was not. We were out in recess, which, as everyone knows, in any court of law or any committee such as this, when there is a recess, you do not approach. That's very simple. As we know, Mr. Chernesky had to ask Mr. Maller to sit down. My wife did bring attention to it. She was not hollering and screaming, as I know she wasn't, because she's never hollered or screamed. She said, I believe that she objected to Mr. Maller going up after the conditions that we had already dealt with him in any situation where we go before any committee for anything. All we have done since we have lived in this house in the 9 years is try to improve our house while houses around us crumble. We have invested hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars into maintaining our home, only to have people like him harass us and file complaints and come and do undue damage for no good reason at all. If Wayne Mallor wants to make a difference in this city, why don't you fix up some of the homes that are crumbling and not attack the people who are actually making a difference and making Bangor better, which is something you are not doing.
John?
Yeah, you said in your statement in August, you had a 3-1 vote in favor of granting the certificate of appropriateness. Is that correct?
August, no. Unless,
Sorry, in July.
yes, and one of the members had to be recused, because that was when Miss Quinn, as we were talking about earlier, brought up that she had evidence that she had obtained through certain things. So I believe the July, it was never completed until it went from November. I think it started in November and went till October. So July and August, we had to, that may be incorrect. I believe there was a vote in July and we paused it before it was ever completed because there was a conflict of interest. So it was, and there were only 4 people available each time in July and August. A committee of 5, which unlike any other committee, the HPC requires not just majority vote, they require 4 out of 5. If only 4 members are present, you have to get all 4. So at that point, yes, probably July, we stopped it and said, all right, we're going to wait for a panel of 5 people because it just makes more sense. And then again in August, when we either once or twice in August, again, we couldn't get a full panel. So it wasn't until October that we were able to get a full panel, 11 months after we originally applied.
Okay, and then you were okay with going to Superior Court, but you said the city told you to come back?
Yes.
Okay. So that's why it was brought back?
Yes, the city reached out based on information that where my insurance company had demanded that my roof be replaced. We couldn't get a hearing before then. So we had to do what we had to do to protect our home at that point from all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Excuse me, I was listening, thank you.
Any
Cody, did you have anything for Mr. Farron? Thank you, Mr. Farron.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else present who, and I don't mean you, Councilor Mallor, I'm speaking to everyone else. You'll obviously have an opportunity to speak if you wish to have it. Is there anyone else who is not Councilor Mallor present that would like to speak to the board? Okay. Mr. Mallor, would you like the floor?
I'm not certain when the time I should speak is. After you make your decision, before or after? I don't care. I'll speak anytime.
Yep. Oh, Stephen, did you, well, 1 second.
No, I'm good.
This is, before we close the public hearing part of the meeting, if you would like to speak, I would think that I'll check with Ed to make sure, but this is probably the best opportunity for you to speak at this moment. Is that correct?
Yeah, under the procedural rules. The public hearing is conducted, all the public statements are heard by the board. And then if the person who's been charged wants to make a statement, they can do so after the conclusion of statements by other members of the public. So assuming there's nobody else that wants to make a statement to the board, now would be the time for you to make a statement. You want to make the call on whether anyone else wants to speak?
Well, I won't make the call. I'll just ask one more time, and that includes anybody. I haven't been keeping an eye on Zoom, but has anyone else raised their hand that anyone has noticed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Same here. Last call for anyone. Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
And now we can move on to the formality and acknowledge that it's time for Mr. Millar to speak.
Yeah, I believe so. Is there anyone else left? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Mallon, that would be for you, sir. It might be a bit redundant to ask you to state your name and your residents, but please,
My name is Wayne Mallor and I live in Bangor.
I beg your pardon, sir. I'm so very sorry. Do you mind if I ask one thing?
Go ahead.
Mr. Mallor is not subjected to the 3-minute rule, or is he?
It's part of
Because
the
he is-
public hearing.
It is part of the public hearing,
You
and
just closed the public hearing, I believe.
no, it's not. You would be the last speaker. I wanted to give you the last. I wanted to give you the last
Whatever you
slide,
say.
but because he is named in the council order.
Right.
If you don't mind, sir, I apologize. I should have asked that before.
Let me just double check.
Okay. I just don't want to give you time that is too short, or for all I know, maybe you're just here to answer questions. You don't plan to take up the 3 minutes anyway. I often have my best thoughts after I've already voiced something else. Assume it's 3 minutes, but I just want to make sure.
The procedural rules indicate that the chair shall open the floor to any individual who desires to speak on the issue, who shall be limited to 3 minutes to give their comment, and board members may ask questions when the speaker is finished. The person-
Somehow,
Hey, Steve, could you hang on for a second?
Yep, 1 sec.
I
yes,
just want to finish reading the procedures. The person who is the subject of the request for advisory opinion shall be given the opportunity to address the statements made during the public hearing, and board members may ask questions of the persons when they are finished speaking. So it's not explicitly subject to the 3-minute
Right.
limitation.
It seems like it's the chair's discretion, because if Mr. Mallor got up and had to address in some form of rebuttal everything he's heard, that could reasonably take longer than 3 minutes.
Well, it's always the chair's discretion anyway, so.
Stephen, what were you gonna say?
I would absolutely not be in favor in limiting the time that someone has to defend themselves against ethical charges. To limit their time, I am absolutely not in favor of.
I understand. Well, Mr. Mallor, did you have a prepared statement, or did you want to take just questions? You want to do a bit of both? What would you be most comfortable with, sir?
I'll take questions first and then I'll make a statement. I mean, I don't know what you want to hear, so it's better for me to hear from you first.
Well, we want to hear anything that you want to share with us about the council order regarding.
I'll share everything, but go ahead and ask questions and then we can go proceed from there.
Okay.
You can ask questions at any time, even when I'm speaking. It doesn't.
Questions based on what your statement would be. I don't want to make it sort of the fish, the snake eating its own tail like an Ouroboros, but would you mind giving your statement first, sir?
Well, I prefer the questions, but if you insist.
Well, does anybody object to asking questions first for Mr. Mallor, or would the board like to hear? It's not just my decision. Would the board prefer hearing it in a reverse order?
I think doesn't say anything. I don't have any questions, so
Okay.
seems like it.
Well, I'm just thinking about it for time. It's easier. You've heard everything from everyone, and I'm not going to dispute everything that everyone has said. I mean, that's kind of redundant. So if there's anything that you people in particular want to hear about, that would be more appropriate and be more.
Just for clarity.
Yep.
The procedures say the person who is the subject of the appeal shall be given the opportunity to address the statements made during the public hearing, and board members may ask questions to the persons when they are finished speaking.
Okay.
So
Yep.
that indicates that if you want, Mr. Mallor, if you want to give a statement, that would be up to you.
Yep.
But if you decide not to and just let the board ask questions, then you would have waived your opportunity to make a statement.
If you have a statement that you'd like to make before the board asks questions of you, when you begin, I'll start the timer. You would have 3 minutes to use.
Well, I mean, I don't want to take the 3 minutes to waste time. I mean, I'd prefer to have you ask the questions. You know, I'm not gonna dispute anything that's been said because it's makes no sense. It's a he said, she said. If you want to discuss the problem with,
Sir, before you
Yes.
begin, the 3 minutes wouldn't eat up the answering questions time.
no, I understand that,
So the
but
3 minutes is just if you have something that you would like to tell the board before their questions begin about anything, if you wanted to, not in addressing anyone in the dais, but addressing the comments that you've heard this evening to the
Okay.
chair, you have up to 3 minutes to do so.
all right, I'll
You're not
address.
obligated to do it. I can't make you do anything.
No,
But it is your purview to do so, and I want to give you that opportunity.
I'll address some of the questions that were asked earlier, some of the comments that were made.
Okay, I'm gonna start your time
Good
now
stuff.
for the 3 minutes, sir.
I was present at several meetings. When there is a recess, I approached and talked to Ann Quinn, who I've known for years. And I assume during a recess, obviously there are no minutes taken and there's no televised. At that same time, I asked the chair when it would be appropriate for me to ask a question about procedures. I'd been on the HPC board. I understood the procedures that we followed. I didn't know if things had changed. It'd been probably 10 years since I'd been on the board. My wife had been on after I was. That's basically all that was said. There was nothing said about, I have papers here that I'm going to hand out to everyone because I don't like what's going on. No, I just questioned some things that were happening, and that's why I asked for time to ask a procedural question. That's all I have to say. I didn't represent myself as the counselor because I didn't get a chance to speak. So questions I'll answer.
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
You just have that both ways now. You just said that you said things and that was all that was said. And then after that, you said, but I didn't get a chance to speak.
I did not get a chance to speak, is correct. We were in recess when I spoke to Ann Quinn, and we were in recess when I approached the chair to ask when would be the best time to bring up a procedural question. So no, I didn't get to speak. I never stood at the podium and spoke.
Yeah, I misheard something. I thought that's what you said as well.
So during the recess, you did speak.
During the recess, I spoke to Ann Quinn, and I asked the chair when would be an appropriate time to bring up a procedural question. Yes. I mean, a recess is a recess. It's not a, during a recess at Congress, they go out in the hall and talk about who knows what. I did, and I also talked to Reardon.
If you spoke during the recess. So.
Well, I was not mute during the recess, no. I did speak. It was a recess. I mean, I don't think during recess, no matter who I was, I don't think I have to sit mute. I think I'm allowed to speak to people that are there. I mean, I went over, I think I also spoke to a gentleman that had given a talk at a meeting that I go to. I had mentioned some things to him, talked about the meeting that he'd been to. And I don't think at that meeting, but I might have also talked to the doctor at that meeting because I've known him for a while. But I didn't talk about anything that was going on at the meeting other than asking when it would be more appropriate to bring up a procedural question.
John, did you have a question? I wasn't sure if you were.
You said you spoke to Ms. Quinn.
Yes.
Was it any time during that conversation, did it involve anything to do with the issue of the Farron family? The
issue of what?
With the issue at hand during that meeting. Did it involve anything at all with that?
Not that I remember. As I said, I've known her for a long time. She's just a friend. I hadn't seen her for a while. I went up to speak to her. Well, I may have said I was there to support her. But that's all. I didn't tell her how to vote or give her anything like that, or tell her that the council had sent me in. I mean, for someone to assume the council had sent me because I had a paper that had a seal of the city of Bangor on it is a little questionable. Sorry, I didn't have a papers to hand out. Any notes I get from the city are on letterhead paper. The agenda is on letterhead paper. I guess I shouldn't be carrying anything around.
Anything further, John, at this moment? No? Stephen, did you have anything to ask Councillor Mallard?
At this point, no.
Cody?
At this moment, no.
Councillor Mallard, did you, according to Edith Dyer's statement, you, at that recess, you approached members of the HPC who remained in their places and allegedly said that this case was procedurally incorrect and shouldn't be heard in this venue.
I asked when it was time, when I could ask a procedural question. I couldn't determine whether it was procedurally correct or not until I had the ability to ask the question. And yes, I did approach to speak with Ann first, and then I talked with Rob, and I talked with the chair.
Yeah. At any point, did you, as Edith states, that you said that this was procedurally incorrect and shouldn't be heard in this venue?
Not that I remember. I may have, but I don't remember it. I don't think was there the recording of during the recess. That would be on there if I had spoken.
There doesn't seem to be. The board has asked for it, and there wasn't anyone. The meeting is muted.
Well, this is a moot point, but I also asked for it and never received it. So
Asked for what, sir? Oh,
for the recordings that you were given, yeah, and didn't get them. So
did the chair, former chair Chinesky, did he ask you to return to your seat?
He may have. I don't recall. All I know is I was never called on to make a statement from the chair. The chair never recognized me in an open meeting.
You obviously are a city councillor and you have meetings frequently.
Yes.
Are there recesses frequently or at all?
We haven't had a recess recently. I think in the past we may have had a couple, but not a lot, no. And when we have a recess, we usually mix with the people that are there and talk about things. Not unusual.
It's not unusual for members in the galley to approach the dais and speak with councillors during the recess.
It is not.
Go ahead, Stephen.
No.
Okay. Circling back to all members present, is there anything further that anyone would have to ask Mr. Mallard while he's here? No? Thank you, Mr. Mallard. This would end the public hearing part of the meeting. See no reason not to end it at this point then. I don't have to, there's no vote for that. That's a procedural move. Thank you. It is now time for the board's discussion with everything that we have and have been given previously and this evening. The floor is open for the board to discuss the matter at hand.
Are we gonna do like executive session or go?
This is always a tricky thing because there's the procedural rules say that there are times for executive session. It is my opinion, and I would love Ed to counsel against or for this. I think it would be prudent to ask the board if, and I'm asking Ed this, Stephen. I think it would be prudent to ask the board if they wish to go into an executive session now, knowing that executive session is not on our agenda, but that doesn't preclude us from potentially, at least even if the executive session is momentarily, even if it's just 3 minutes to confer in an executive session to make sure that we are not going to wish that we were in an executive session. Do you have any suggestions or guidance for whether that is a good idea, a bad idea, or you're neutral on that as it is?
The things that can be discussed in executive session are very limited.
Yep.
And by statute, it would be discussion or consideration of the employment, appointment, assignment, duties, promotion, demotion, compensation, evaluation, disciplining, resignation, or dismissal of an individual or group of public officials, appointees, or employees of the body or agency, or the investigation or hearing of charges of complaints against a person or persons subject to the following conditions. An executive session may be held only if public discussion could be reasonably expected to cause damage to the individual's reputation or the individual's right to privacy would be violated. Any person charged or investigated must be permitted to be present at an executive session if that person so desires. Excuse me. Any person charged or investigated may request in writing that the investigation or hearing of charges or complaints against that person be conducted in open session. A request, if made to the agency, must be honored. And 4, any person bringing charges, complaints, or allegations of misconduct against the individual under discussion must be permitted to be present. So the problem, as I see it, about going into executive session at this point in time is that it doesn't cover board discussion or board action on the charges or the evidence, because the evidence has already been heard in public session and the board cannot take any action in executive session. The board has to come out of executive session before it can vote.
I took, and I may be wrong, of course, correct me. I took Member Eastman's, I'm not going to say it that way. I have a concern about the next 5 minutes, and I wanted to make sure I'm not stepping too far off of something to ask the board to potentially vote to go into a brief executive session, knowing that we're not going to vote on anything. I just want to make sure, that, of course, we have no ability to talk about the livelihood or the termination of duties. All I'm worried about is the potential, and maybe I'm overthinking, that would be a damage to reputation. And if in executive session we're clear, all we do is come out of executive session and say everything we said in executive session potentially anyway, and then vote.
You can go into executive session to seek advice from counsel. So if you want to go into executive session to have a discussion with me on those issues, that would be permitted deliberation.
An executive session for advice of counsel wouldn't just be the chair, it would be the members as well.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion?
Hold on.
Excuse me, Stephen, go ahead.
Would it be possible for us to ask Councillor Millar himself if he wishes to waive his right to executive session? The very premise of it is that it could be damaging to his reputation. If Councillor Millar believes that he has done nothing wrong and that there is no further information to be gained by our discussions in public or behind closed doors, one way or another, and that it will not affect his, quote, reputation, will he allow us to remain in public comment? I would ask he approach the bench.
It's a good question. Technically, we could call for an executive session and Councillor Mallard could say, I don't want an executive session, and we wouldn't have to get out of our seats.
Right.
So I guess we can
bypass
that.
Yeah,
go
can
ahead.
he also step up and waive his rights?
Yes.
to the
Yeah.
executive session if he himself is not, quote, worried about damage to his reputation. If he stands by his testimony, his remarks, and his reputation, then if he himself admits he is not aggrieved, then who are we to try to go into executive session?
Okay,
I mean, I would say that we should go into executive session. But I'm proving to talk to council in regards to some of the clarifying some of the
Yeah.
stuff. That way it's,
right.
you know, a little bit more personal between us having to, you know, yell across the table.
Okay.
I mean, but again, you know, if he wants to waive his right to the executive session, that's on him, but I would prefer to go into executive, yeah, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Words.
Cody, do you have any input on it before we?
Right, I also would prefer to go to executive session.
Okay.
Before moving forward.
Councilor Mallow, do you have a preference for how this proceeds for the next few minutes? If we go into executive session, well, excuse me, sir, do you have a preference for how this proceeds?
Not really. I mean, I'm confused as to why you want to go into executive session. Are you going to allow me to sit in on it, or is it just going to be the board?
When we go into an executive session, the person named in the council order is allowed.
To sit. Then I don't have a problem.
Except if it is a procedural inquiry to the council.
If it's a request for advice from council, then it would just be the board and me.
So to answer your question, as the chair, what I'm trying to do is make sure, beyond any question, that things are done fairly for all parties involved. And that includes, I think that there is a small reasonable chance that in the questions that we might have, now you could shrug it off if hypothetically I said, I don't like this and I think he did this, and you can be like, I don't care what you think. Maybe there is no damage to your reputation. But as the chair of this committee, I'm trying to make sure that that is cleanly represented. That's why I'm considering going into a vote for the executive session.
I don't have a problem with you going into executive session if you need to talk to council.
Sure.
I'd have a problem with you going into executive session if you're going to discuss a decision at a point in time.
If I understand everything right together, and I think we're about to move to vote for this, we're just going to confer with legal counsel about mostly a procedural effort. And we're not going to make a vote. We're not going to be doing decisions. We're going to do that in public, as we've done everything in public thus far.
Yeah, I don't have anything to hide. I have no problem with that.
Do I hear a motion from the board about going into an executive session with counsel?
For the purpose of.
Thank you.
For the purpose of obtaining legal
advice
from counsel.
I make it. Seconded. Motion has been moved and seconded. Again, my best ideas are always after the fact. If we go into an executive session, Mr. Warren, do we go to the public room? Or do we ask everyone to evacuate this room?
No, traditionally what happens is that a board, commission, committee would go into the public.
You have Zoom capability there, or in order to get Stephen Bro into that, I'm gonna call him on my phone and put him on speaker.
We weren't aware ahead of time that you were considering an executive session, so no, executive session Zoom has not been set up.
Putting him on speaker in the executive session there's no problem with that.
No problem with that.
The motion has been made. There's a vote. Stephen, how do you vote?
Wow.
The vote is to go into executive session at this moment for legal counsel. Yes.
I will vote affirmative.
Thank you. Yes, John? Yeah, Cody?
Yes.
I vote yes. Excuse us while we do this. I don't expect it to take very long. I would appreciate everyone, and this is not meant to be playful or coy at all, please stay in your seats, no one approach the table here. And that's just because we have items that we have here for ourselves. Steven, hang on one second, I'm gonna make a phone call to you.
Yep.
Down in this room, I've never done it. Yeah. You're getting on. Okay. Hungry now. There's no lack of sunlight. Start black. Steven?
Yes.
Keep your powder dry. So in a second, I'm gonna call you on the phone.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask you to mute the microphone for your Zoom call, please.
Yep.
In fact, do that right now, even before I call.
Yes, you got it. And coming right up.
That'd be a heck of an executive session where everyone in the room just sort of, that's like an old 80s movie, right? We're all just sort of listening at the door. I would caution everyone in the room that it appears that the microphones are live for the meeting as they go. Anything said is still being recorded, so. Be right back, thank you.
We might have paperwork.
I'm sorry.
What is that? I thought was during the asking question. It's a little. Yeah, right. Would you make a decision that same meeting? Like you'd review all the material, make the decision, you're done. Well,
We had this city executive style maps. Yeah.
like a cap. Yeah, you guys I welcome that. No.
Anyways, I just think the chances on the right. Each not I thought it was behind that screen. Those are the ones that they want.
How are you? Good, thank you. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Well, if you don't mind me, what would you like to speak with her about?
I put my name, I get. Big parking lot. Okay.
Like downtown.
It's gotta be one. Everybody.
I don't mean to. not follow through and speak with the city manager, but our planning officer, Anya Colette, she's the liaison to the downtown parking lot. In what?
The refrigeration. Yes. Refrigeration stuff.
Oh.
It's gonna revert that. So if you have revert now, all my. Okay. Only as. They think they could do it. So I just.
Maybe a discriminatory approach to enforcement measures.
Yeah.
Okay.
One particular.
Okay. I will, I'll ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And see if we can set up a time.
I wouldn't kind of report.
What's that?
I have some examples.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
If she has a loaded schedule, Hillary, she may deflect, she may ask staff to speak. I don't know, but at the very least, I'll ask her.
I just feel like.
Okay, and I have your email, so I'll be sure to follow up again. To complain about taking this to turn your dog, taking. Okay. Just an inconsistent approach to enforcement measures.
He listens. Area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Different. This one is.
I keep on
It's a regular, that's 3R. Yes. Okay.
I think I was.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll put one in next.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. I'll be sure to ask.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No. All right.
It's the heatness of that.
Yes.
It
actually- Yeah, but these windows are pretty, they can energy efficient. And that's like, well,
one of the.
yeah, maybe not so much now.
And I was gonna say, I don't think they.
You want me to try to lower that?
No, I just wondered if that was the thing that they do, but sometimes.
Yeah, but it does feel warmer in here tonight.
I can't like go off.
You gotta like get 4 layers of stuff.
And like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happened after a few minutes. Yeah.
And I don't. Oh. Maybe.
Well, frankly, that may, that might be part of the issue, come closing time, 5:30. They'll reduce, they'll lower the heat. But.
I think they do it for this. The,
But let me,
I was just curious. Deliberation. Maybe lower shades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but the main issue though is seeing if it could be a little warmer during those council meetings. Yeah, and committee meetings.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And then we meet whenever we meet and.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not right.
No. Yeah, let me bring that to the attention of these citizens.
We couldn't get that. And then so there's some council function meetings too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing that does help is that we have closed captioning. So for those people watching remotely, if. Yeah. Oh, does it normally? You normally see it on the monitors, the closed caption? Yeah. Well, the company we work with who provided all the audio visual equipment, we've had, I think as you're probably aware, we've had a real back and forth with them. And they've made some improvements to the audio, but it seems like those soft-spoken people, it's still, yeah, it's still not captured.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Right. Oh, right, yeah. Forget about it. Here, okay. Yeah, we do have sort of audio enhancement to the. Was there feedback? Oh, no. Yeah. It's an ongoing thing with that vendor, the AV, so we'll see what we can do, but it's been a really good challenge. But when it comes to the heat, let me see what we can do about it. You bumping that up.
It's colder. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm wondering though, as it heats up outside, the AC is gonna kick on in here. Is that gonna still keep it cold? I don't know.
Oh, well, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'll inquire about it. We had some issue. We have like 9 different heating units. Yeah, like 5 on top of the building, 4 behind.
Stay cold because of the rest.
Well, like 4 of those units went down. There was some issue with parts. I think we've since got to replace, but it's not even a year old. Yeah. Yeah. Has it even been a year? We came back from here in August.
So it's been almost.
It's been a year. Jeez. Okay. Well, anyway.
Really often.
Yeah. Oh, no, no, we were certainly most impressed with our complaint about the issue. Yeah, but let me see what we can do about that. Bump it up.
To make it more isolates, but it's.
The layering helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah, you're prepared.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, jeez. All right, very good. No questions? None yet.
There's a lot of procedures.
Yeah, apparently so.
Let's go this back.
In the back.
I'll go read now. I'll go
Yeah,
read.
just go right through that door, find him back there.
Yeah. Sure. Yes. Yeah. That's nothing to do with.
Well, they're not on all the time, but they just, they tend to naturally come on as we activate the camera.
They never use them. When we were here, we'd go through a whole meeting, they never come on.
Well, we were having some issues with a few of the monitors being disconnected, so IT went in and improved the connection. But that's a good point. I'm not sure why all necessarily on that.
They shouldn't even be on. It's wasteful, but wasting electricity.
I mean, having at least this one has been helpful to me to kind of use the cameras, but that's a good question. I'm not sure why all the time like that. Those are on as well.
We never use those either. When we're sitting there at a meeting.
Well, sometimes for presentations, don't
Oh, we use this, look at the big one.
you? I thought for presentations,
Mm.
you'd have it on screen too. Yeah, I'm not sure. What do you think of this? The story here.
I don't care. you know what I'll do? I'll donate my money back to them. They'll cut the budget by 10%.
Back to the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think that's equivalent? Your paycheck and 10%?
No, but I think it's the principle of the thing.
Yeah.
The school department's asking for a 10% increase. As far as I'm concerned, they get no increase.
Is that much? 10%?
Yeah.
How much was it last
Want 10% this year, a new position. They want, I think they want to teachers for English or South language. Because you can't speak English, read English, or write English. It's not a disability. We do not have to finish. And they're probably all illegals anyway. That's what the cultural center for.
Seems like it's been.
Oh, yeah. They don't know how to say anything but 10%.
David, you can be a 5 again.
Yeah,
We're good. Stephen, are you present?
They can come up with the wrong guy.
Something. Stephen? This was all just a ruse to make everyone excited that we're back.
He's there, he's muted.
Stephen, you're muted, which is good. But we're back.
There we go.
Great. Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. It is appreciated. Thank you. We are back from executive session and picking up at the discussion of the board. Because we entered executive session, maybe I have to say for the record that the floor is now open for board discussion regarding Council Order 25282. At this stage, the members of the board should, as they feel fit, to ask, discuss amongst ourselves. There will be no further input from anything at this point except Mr. Wool. Right? There's no other stage where suddenly any new information comes in. It's just we discuss and then we make motions based on our discussion and where we are.
Yeah, and just for clarity, Council Order 25-282 poses 4 questions to the board, and you should vote on each one.
Each and every one in order as we.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Yes.
Is it the board's wish that we sort of talk about everything all at once, or would it be advantageous to sort of take these questions one at a time and maybe direct our discussion in that way? Is there a benefit? What do you think?
For my suggestion,
Yeah.
and it's only a suggestion, is that all of these questions relate to the same set of facts.
Right.
And the board has heard conflicting evidence regarding what happened at the HPC meeting, so I think it makes sense for the board to discuss the events at the HPC meeting, make factual findings, and then decide whether or not those facts violate the provisions of the code that were referred to you by the council.
Okay.
I mean, you won't have to make different factual findings for each individual question.
Excuse me. I have to bring something up if I can. I'm just.
Wait a minute, no, excuse, no. In a second, you will talk to me in the hall. But I understand. I want you to, sir, please, with all due respect.
Brought to my attention.
I understand. With all due respect, please don't say another word.
Of course.
Thank you. I don't have to recess for this.
Nope.
But you have to come with me.
Well, no, I don't think you should have any further contact with anybody. The record's closed.
Yeah, I agree. I understand. Yeah, I understand. I understand. Okay, I apologize.
Okay, who should that be reported to then?
You could take, well, there is a period of review. But that's usually only for the person named in the council order. They have 3 days.
What I have has nothing to do with anything you have there. It's a.
Sir, you can't even hint about, I apologize, and please take this the way I mean it, but you cannot continue to talk to me about this. I think if you would like to stay, well, I'm not gonna make you stay. I think you have to.
Let me put it this way. If you have an issue that gives you some concern about the conduct of the hearing,
You should concerns everyone, including.
but the record's closed.
And everybody else.
The record's closed.
Yeah.
The board is going to discuss and make factual findings and vote on the referred questions based on the record as it currently stands.
Sure.
If you have a concern about that, you're gonna have to address it in some other manner.
About anything you guys are doing.
Then it's nothing.
Then it's nothing to interrupt the meeting
Right.
for. And I appreciate you have an opinion on that. I could be wrong. I would suggest that tomorrow, if there was anything to be done, you take it up with the city solicitor's office. And then also in conjunction with the city manager.
Yes.
I wish I could give you more, but I cannot.
That's good information.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the excitement for something.
Yeah.
But we can't proceed with anything that you could give us. Thank you. Okay. Back to the board discussion, please. Anyone? Is there any discussion to be had? Stephen, you're still there, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yes,
just making
I am.
sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It may be, there's no rush to anybody and there's no
No.
push here. Maybe everyone's just reviewing and trying to get their thoughts in order. I'm not gonna force anything. It'll come. But everyone should feel free. The floor is open. Everyone should feel free to just speak when they're ready.
So,
In the interest of public disclosure, I would remind perhaps the public that it is at this point not our job to offer an opinion on the reason why Mr. Farron has been engaged in this long a conflict with the city. It's literally on the merits of the ethical behavior of Mr. Millar. The how one feels on the house and the roof itself, frankly, is immaterial.
you want to get the opinion of you guys. 33-13-1, C, 2C. When it's made clear and unambiguous that the official is speaking in their individual capacities and not on behalf of the entire city or a board, commission, or committee. Was that made clear during any of this discussion that happened?
John, could you give me that reference again, please? The number?
Yeah, 33-13 dot 1 2C. Any discussion about that? I don't know how we don't feel about that.
I think we should chat about whether the
if he would have reasonable knowledge that Mallard was, Councilman Mallard was approaching in the capacity of a councilman, they could have, there may be potential that it was not clear that he was approaching as a private citizen, especially with multiple instances of, multiple accounts of potentially bringing up documents with City of Bangor letterhead. I would imagine that the councilman should ensure that when he is speaking, that he is speaking as an individual, as it's discussed. Yeah.
The disclaimer is the key part, I think.
Can you remember to speak up, please?
Yep, we will try. Thank you.
Well, when it comes to, just to kind of clarify so you can hear, we're talking about the disclaimer, because he is a council member. It has to be clear and unambiguous that he is not speaking on the behalf of the city. That's what I'm trying to get a discussion about because of, the disclaimer, the part C, 2C is very broad. The disclaimer kind of narrows it down. So that's what I'm trying to get a discussion with them in regards to that.
One of the things that was of concern when I watched the HPC meeting was that when it was done, former member Quinn seemed to be saying things that were, for lack of a better term, corroborating things that are in Edith Dyer's statement. And Councillor Mallard said that when he spoke to this board this evening, that he wasn't disputing things, but he didn't have a specific recollection of saying it. It didn't seem to me, after hearing from him in that regard, that he approached Ms. Quinn to talk about the Red Sox, for example, or something else. It seemed, in some ways, putting this puzzle together where we don't have the center with the metaphorical puzzle, we just have the border of things that were given to us or statements that we've been given. The somewhat important part of that meeting was muted and blacked out. So is it a coincidence that somebody in the galley said that Councillor Mallard went up and started speaking to the members of the board and that they had overheard it? And then suddenly the committee is back in session and the person that Councillor Mallard said he went to speak says something that was allegedly said to her? I don't know if that's a coincidence. I know that we can only go by the things that we have here, but I'm just trying to put the puzzle together. And I would politely ask, we can hear you as we're discussing, if you don't mind. If you have stuff to say, perfectly fine to say it, but please say it out of here. It's distracting and I should have said something earlier. I apologize. That's on me. We're trying, but equally lower your voice. Please don't disturb anymore. Thank you. I would take this time to say something as well that I hope is helpful for the city manager's office. You guys have done a great job giving us all the stuff that we asked for. One of the things that I'm going to hope is put into our findings of fact, or at least brought to the city council's attention somehow, is going forward, if there is a recess, I don't think that the mics should be on. Who wants to catch all that you're in recess? And this is not a criticism of anyone who was working the meeting that day, but I think we've discovered that there's a small problem here. I think that the suggestion that I would make, that hopefully others would potentially support, is that if there is a recess going forward, that the footage stay live. And of course, the mute button is very helpful because what's being said is of no gathering to the public at large because business isn't being done on the city's behalf. This meeting might have been a little easier served, and again, not a criticism because it's not anything anyone could have done. If the mics were off and allegedly Councillor Mallor approached the dais and you admitted that you did, we could have seen who you approached and asked them earlier and had other avenues to pursue the findings of fact. I think it's a mistake for whatever the city is using as footage to make those blind spots happen, just in case. And I don't know if this will ever happen again, but it happened once, and that would certainly help going forward. And actually, as a small side, I don't know if in using Zoom, anyone uses breakout rooms or not. I know that breakout rooms are helpful for when people use Zoom for litigation or education. And if I were a teacher and this was a group and this was a group and everyone had their own project on Zoom, I could actually create a separate small room in the bigger room to have them do their work. Again, a breakout room is only good, but I don't know how that works for, I know what I don't know, and that's a lot, but I don't know how that works for the city's business. Maybe that isn't an option, but going forward, I thought that might be of help. So back to this issue again.
Well, so I think that in what we have that we're supposed to look at, breaking this down seems really difficult between is anything theoretically a violation of B? And if not, is it C? And if not, is it D? Or is it both of them? Or is it, does it make more sense to kind of be B and C together or something? Like it's very weird what you're supposed to be looking at and what precisely is the violation if something is.
Well, it could be all, some, or none.
Right.
I mean, I think that your requirement is to address the questions from the council, which number one asks about a violation of B or C. Number two is whether that's a violation of D. Number three is whether or not there's a violation of the catch-all provisions of 33(1). And 4 is whether or not there was a violation of any other provision of the Code of Ethics. So, you know, this factual scenario that you're looking at could give rise to a violation of one, some, or none of those 4 referred questions.
Right. I think, you know, I just want to say, I think on both sides of the statements that we got, there was a whole lot of information about groups and what should or should not happen with them. And I guess whenever, you know, you're involved in the story, you want to be able to say your piece or whatever, but I just want to make it clear, as we maybe have already, that it just doesn't matter for this exact situation. Whether the roof project should have been approved, whether somebody did something without approval that they shouldn't do, whether they should be at some place at a certain time or whatever. The question we have is really just specific about this exact thing happening, and you know, the one side could be completely wrong about it. It doesn't make any difference. The other side could be completely wrong. And in this case, trying to look at the facts that we have, I find it very hard to not look at the statement of what Councillor Millar allegedly said, and moments later
somebody on that committee basically saying that. And so then the question is it an ethical violation if he did say that? And there wasn't a statement really, I believe it was, I don't remember saying it or not, maybe I did, whatever. And I have to pick a fact, I guess, that I think is more supported. And I think that I find it pretty credible that there's a statement that something was said, which is then followed up with somebody on the committee who it gets admitted that that person was talked to in this time. And then the person follows up and says that same thing as soon as they're out of recess. So I feel like I lean toward having to find that that's what happened. And then now, is that an ethical violation? And I guess giving this that we have to look at B, C, D, I guess to some extent, the general maintaining a standard of conduct that will inspire public confidence in the integrity of the city's government, which seems incredibly broad and nebulous anyway, but it seems to me that if you take maybe B and C together, and I'm not 100% sure of D and exactly what I'm supposed to get out of D, but if you take B and C together, it seems like somebody who is a city councilor should not be approaching people on a committee and telling them stuff about what they're supposed to be deciding. Or I guess whether they're supposed to be deciding on it at all.
Those are pretty much just making their opinion known.
Right.
Out of record.
Do we really truly believe that the intent and spirit of the law is that essentially every time someone speaks in some form of government in which they are not involved, that they must say, these are my own private statements?
Yes.
Yes, because that's what it says.
That is the ethical, that is the code of ethic and the disclaimer that they have to, whether it is in session or out of session.
Yes.
The perceived vision is what my main concern is. Perceived. I don't, nobody said at any time. It's on my own statement. Similar did not say that. His daughter said nothing about that. All the records from all the other statements, that was never mentioned at all. I think that's a big thing because it clearly states, and even as our lovely lady who taught us today, having that disclaimer, my thoughts are my own opinion, not that of the city of Bangor, or is a clear way of not getting yourself into a situation that's like this.
And
go ahead,
while
Steve.
I won't necessarily disagree with the way it actually is worded, I'm trying to speak more to what our opinions are on the intent of the wording.
Well, the intent is pretty clear. I mean, it's black and white. The intent that he has.
No, well, no, that in order to clearly define that, I mean, where does one draw that line? That, I mean, we literally would expect someone to approach a group in a meeting and make a statement such as that it would have to be made.
Yeah.
Yes. Because if that was not made, then Miss Edith would have said.
I mean,
that she heard that, there would have been no issue.
I'm reading the words on the statute, and I'm just slightly grappling with, okay, at what point would you stop? I mean, should someone have a embroidered golf shirt with that on it? I mean,
Stephen, I
almost
take
seems.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
No, it almost seems like we've gotten too far off in splitting hairs on this.
I am of the mind that, well, I'll say it this way as I started. I take your point. People don't talk like that. People don't walk up often. Most of the time, strangely, I do. I was talking to someone the other day about the work that we're doing on the board, but I represented the thoughts that I had in that moment very clearly as saying, I'm not talking to you as the chair of the ethics board. I think if I understand your point, are we expecting people to just identify all the time and stand before people and say, by the way, I'm only talking to you as a citizen, not as a city councilor or a chair or et cetera.
Yes.
But it almost proves the rule. The rule is here to prevent an ambiguous misrepresentation. And if perhaps Councilor Maller if there was a record of Councilor Maller perhaps saying, I'm just talking to you as Wayne. I'm not a counselor. I'm not here on any official business. Yeah, maybe that makes conversations between people really weird. But this rule is sort of showing why it's required, because it could potentially look like his influence is seeping in. And without clarification, now we are left to suss out things that are either forgotten, not recorded, or picking one person's statement over the other. I understand what you're trying to say, and I know that the majority of people don't live in that world, but I think the rule is here because this is an instance that proves where it would have been very handy had it been followed.
Well, yeah, I think also as we just went over in our training, right? Like the point that we have in here about saying it all the time or whatever is that the onus is on the person to avoid the ambiguity. And if there is any possibility of ambiguity, then it's up to them to make that clear.
Right.
And further on the point, does that mean that every time you talk to somebody, you have to say that like forever? No. But when you're a city councilor walking up to somebody on a committee during a break, I think maybe there is ambiguity, and you're talking to them about how they should or shouldn't do things in this committee. That's not, an outrageous example where everyone has to constantly say that they're not talking as a city councilor. That's like the specific circumstance where I think maybe more than any other time you probably should, when you're talking to people specifically about stuff that this committee is doing, and you're there and it's basically city business and you're a city councilor, then
make it clear.
Especially the admission that they've gone to the majority of the meetings that had reference to this specific issue. They, as per their statements, they've been very vocal about what should happen. So definitely, I would say that if you would have said something like that, I'm not talking to you about the case, I'm seeing how you doing, I haven't talked to you in a while, that right there, I mean, that would work just as fine in my opinion to cover that disclaimer. But because that was never vocally, nobody's ever vocally said that they said that, you're kind of now looking at like, well, did he not? You know, it's because of the perceived vision of how much how vocal they've been in regards to that.
Yeah.
I think that should have been something that should have been obvious.
Yeah, I mean, with part C, I think the heart of the question is, was this an instance where there could be ambiguity? And I think that's really, you know, the grouping issue aside, I think the discussions that we've had so far, it's leading to almost regardless of what was discussed, I feel like was approaching the bench and discussing period. Is that a moment where we could have had a potential lapse in ethics in this meeting? I think it's I do wish we had the statement from the staffer, but I understand their concern. Their comments, you know, I think are crucial, but unfortunately we don't have a statement from them. Because they seem to be an unbiased party in this event. I'll leave it at that for part C for now, but Linda might.
Well, one of our last actions as a committee was advising on a situation where we had counselor at the time, Dan Tremble, collecting signatures. And we made the determination that no, although he did not identify himself one way or the other, that no, it was assumed that because he was doing this in his business and not using his title, that was perfectly okay. Shouldn't we be applying the same criteria here? Councillor Tremble then did not have to identify that he was speaking on his own behalf. Why is this situation any different?
I think because it was a city function, it was a city board meeting where Councillor Trimble on his own time, not in a city setting or at a board meeting, was assisting a friend. So I think that's the complete difference, because what he did to get the signatures had nothing to do really to do with an immediate board decision that was happening in the city of Bangor's building. That's the big difference, is that he was out of the building, not at a formal meeting, where this is at a formal meeting inside the building in the council chambers. Even though it was in recess, it's still considered a board meeting. There's still an issue, that's still a you know, that's the difference.
Yeah, I'd push back a little, Stephen. I would say that if Councillor Tremble had taken paperwork out for former, excuse me, you know, hang on one second, Stephen. I don't want to say this again, so I will only say it one more time. If you have something to say to each other, please exit this room and say it to each other quietly. The last thing
Right out to you guys.
No, you won't. We're not.
Since First Amendment right away from that.
We are not, we're not hearing from you at this point, ma'am. And the last thing that I want, you can say it.
Yeah.
And I will ask you to leave. The last thing I want to do is start ejecting people from this chamber. But I will have silence in the galley. The time for public comment, to which you participated in, has come and gone. The distract, ma'am.
Let Mr. Farron have a conversation.
And he has absolutely been quiet since then. And I'm asking him to be quiet now as well. He needed to be corrected. And I appreciate him taking the correction. If you don't think you can take this correction, I would ask you to leave. But I don't want you to make me have you leave. And that's the difference, please. I can't ask you any more politely than that. Thank you. Stephen, I would push back slightly in that, and that I would say, if Dan Trumbull, when taking out paperwork for Kara Pelletier, I don't know if I say Kara or Kara. I wish somebody would correct me. Kara. Thank you. I apologize for engaging the galley after I just told them to be quiet. My best ideas are always after I say them out loud. If Mr. Trumbull had been taking out papers for Ms. Pelletier and then proceeded to get signatures in City Hall, maybe even in the council chambers, well, then I would think you've got an interesting point beyond what I think you're trying to make. And I take your point, but I think, as John said, I think there's a lot of difference there between that instance where we heard from Councillor Trumbull, who took the paperwork to his business and then left his business to go do other business, and then patrons came in. I can agree that maybe we don't see that the same, but I see that being a bit different.
If he had been actively politicking in an attempt to get someone elected within City Hall, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
All right.
And again, I don't want to distract the work that we're trying to do. Again, we're not trying to talk about a council order that we've done our findings.
I'm just trying to draw a correlation in saying that we need to be consistent with how some of us ourselves have recently ruled.
Yeah, I appreciate that. One of the things that I keep coming back to, and I don't want to monopolize this discussion, please others engage, of course, when you're ready, but part of our packet contained information that the city manager's office got us, and one of the things in there, it said that Councillor Mallard made the argument that the HPC was not allowed to table discussion of an application brought by resident Stephen Farron. And then later, again, I'm not trying to tie too many red strings together, but Councillor Mallard said he didn't disagree with any of the things that were said tonight, and that he offered his perspective on what he did do and didn't do to the best of his recollection. It just, to circle back again, it just seems like there was some opportunity there. If Councillor Mallard wished to say, I'm not here as a city councillor, I'm here just to shoot the breeze. But apparently several of the things that allegedly happened at that meeting were not city related. And it just raises the question of ambiguity. And if there was a way to do it differently, it was not chosen.
Yeah, I think also to go back to the point that was brought up about this other thing that happened with Dan Trumbull.
Yeah.
And I wasn't here, so I don't even know exactly what that's all about, except that what you guys said right now. But I would maybe argue in that, trying to talk about those two things and how you might think about both of those things. I think if somebody gets out things to sign, takes them to his work, leaves them there as people come in, and I don't even know if that's what happened, but that's what was just said happened. So whatever. In that case, there is a non-city councilor version of doing that I think is like legitimate, right? Regular people can do that.
Yeah.
I think if we find that what was said to a person on the committee was something about how
this should not be here and this is how this committee should act. I'm not sure that there's a non-city councilor version of doing that. I don't know that there's a legitimate, I'm just a regular member of the public, and while you're on recess, I'm gonna come up here and tell you how to do your business like that. I mean, maybe there is, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like now I'm just acting as a regular person. And what I'm going to do acting as a regular person is tell you how to run this committee or what you guys should be doing on this committee. That seems like it already creates a distinction for me between those two examples.
In that email that he referenced, it says verbatim, other HPC members were at the dais and heard the councilor's remarks.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't come up to volunteer statement, that right there, I mean, that's just the issue at hand, and that's why I'm here. So, I mean, according to the assistant planner, the councilor made arguments that HPC was not allowed to table discussion of an application brought by resident Stephen Fern. I mean, there's not much else you can say.
One of the things that hopefully we keep in mind as we near the end of navigating through this is the information that we have been given to us in statements and in person, and applying that to the code of ethics. There are going to be some things that we don't know. Like Member Eastman said just a few minutes ago, like, I don't know what allegedly Councilor Maller said to someone, except that he admitted to being there and approaching and talking to them. And he's known them forever. Could have been anything. People that were there said that they overheard certain things. And it doesn't sound like it was nothing. It sounds like it was city business. If we take that and we believe those statements and we apply it to the code of ethics, are they telling us something? And as we're working through and as I'm listening to everyone and talking, that's what is in my head. I'm trying to say, this is what I know. This is what Councilor Maller agreed and doesn't remember or didn't agree to. And how do they line up? Yeah, that's just me thinking out loud, I think. How are we doing, Ed? Do you have?
You're doing fine.
Okay. You? Yeah.
I'd like to move on to vote, possible, anyone else have objections?
Steven, are you, how are you doing over there?
Fine. No.
You can make that.
I am slightly conflicted on this a little bit. Honestly, I'm still wrestling with it in my head.
Yeah. You can make that motion and we'll see if we'll see if the members agree, and if they do, then we will, and if they don't, we're, it won't at this stage, and we'll.
I have a question, and I don't know, this is like specifically kind of council question, but I'm like really stuck on D here. It does not seem like, since the way this is, we have to vote specifically on D. Right. I am not sure that it seems like anything in D really has any bearing.
Then that's what you have to find,
Okay.
that the facts that you have found do not constitute a violation of 3313.1D.
I don't know, am I missing something? But it's like Freedom of Access Act and
Well, I mean, again, that's,
various, I don't know.
you guys talked about the catch-all nature of 33.1.
Right.
That's really what D sounds like as well.
I guess. Since it seems to just
Yeah, right.
And like I said, you can find that the facts as you found them do not constitute a violation of subsection D.
Yeah, they've asked us to look at 4. It's possible we come back with none. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't preclude the others, right? D doesn't. If we didn't find D and hypothetically found 1, that would be just, we found 1. Did I step on your question? I didn't mean to, okay.
Mhm.
John, if you wanted, again, like I said, there's any motion, I always feel like it's, don't ask a question you can't take the answer of. If somebody makes a motion and it doesn't pass, it just doesn't pass. It's not like a demerit, we keep talking, but if that's yours to make, you may make it.
The only thing that I would suggest is that we've got to have findings on 4 separate provisions of the ordinance. So what I would suggest is that each motion be addressed to
Each question, whatever.
right.
Okay.
So we need a motion for each one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at the first question referred to you is whether or not Councilor Mallon violated sections 3313.1 B or C.
And perhaps once the motion is made, if I understood John right, John's just making potentially the motion to end discussion and move to vote. Right, and in that conversation, thank you, I had to say it out loud. And in doing that, then we shouldn't be discussing it anymore. We should just be voting. So is it?
Well, the motion was not seconded, did.
Right,
Correct.
no, he was just wondering. Yeah, it wasn't made. I think, maybe before we get to that, we just quickly go over the question. So we sort of know, or maybe if anyone doesn't, maybe I'm the only one that needs to reread.
You want me to make
Yes,
a
please. Thank you.
Sure. And I think probably even the way question 1 is phrased, you probably ought to break that down into 2 separate.
I was just gonna ask you that because it's asking 2 parts to 1 question. Is it?
It's a compound question.
Did potentially Councilor Mallard violate this or that instead of this, comma, that, comma?
So my suggestion would be that someone make a motion that Councilor Mallard either did or did not violate section 33-13.1 B.
And is everybody done discussing?
We'll find out if the motion's made.
I'll make a motion, in discussion in regards to 1-1, question 1, section 33.13.1 B.
Motion has been.
Well, I didn't.
In the discussion and to vote.
Is that what you're asking for?
I think you gotta make a motion either one way or the other that it was a violation or not a violation.
Well, in discussion to go into.
Oh,
I
okay.
put that in his head. I wondered if we had to end discussion to move to vote.
I don't think it, well, listen,
Okay.
Somebody's gonna make a motion.
Okay.
And they'll
It'll
either
be
be
seconded
seconded
or
or
not. I
not,
understand.
and then there'll be discussion on the motion. So I don't think you actually have to make a
Okay.
motion to close the discussion.
Okay.
So I make a motion to proceed with voting on section 33-13.1 B.
And it's the motion
Again.
that either that there was or was not a violation.
There was not a violation.
Not a violation, did you say?
No, there was
There
was a violation.
Okay.
But there was a violation.
Okay.
So the motion is that there was a violation from Councilor Mallard violating sections 33-13.1, section B. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. So now we vote. The vote is for only this section. It is not for section C. It is just for 33-13.1 B. And a roll call vote. Stephen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mark?
Yeah.
And then John?
Yes.
Yes. Let me guess. Discussion of 33-13.1B is not gonna come up again. We're done.
Then I would make a motion for question one, section 33-13-1, part C, that there was a violation.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. That language is fine. Yes. Roll call vote. Stephen, only for 33-13-1, section C. How do you vote?
No.
Mark?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Cody? Yes. I'm a yes. 4-1. 33-13.1, section C is now behind us.
I make a motion to vote on question two, violated section 33-13.1 D. There was no violation.
The motion has been made that there was no violation by Councillor Mallor for 33 section 13.1 part D. Is there a second? Second. Second. We have a roll call vote. Stephen?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Cody? Yes. Yes. 33-13.1 subsection D is behind us. That would be for both questions 1 and 2. There are 2 questions remaining.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to vote now on
Question
The thing that says 3.
Yes.
Okay, so I move that we vote on violation of 33-1 of the ethics code. I have to read the whole thing.
No, that's probably fine.
Yeah, again, I'm sorry, I missed it. Were you moving that there was a violation or no violation?
I'm moving that there is.
Okay.
Or there was, but do I have to read the whole?
No.
No. The motion has been made that Councillor Mallor was in violation of section 33-1 of the ethics code. Is there a second for that motion? Second. Proceeds to a roll call vote. Stephen?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
It's 5 yeses. I vote yes. There's one question left that the council order pertains to us, and that is 4.
Okay, well, I move for vote on question 4, whether Councilor Mallon violated any other provision of the Code of Ethics. But he did not violate.
Did you hear that clearly, Stephen?
No, please repeat that.
Yep, the motion made was that Councillor Mallard did not violate any other provisions of the Code of Ethics as pertaining to the 4th question sent to us in the council order. The motion was made, there needs to be a second if it proceeds.
Yeah, I'll second.
That he did not violate.
That's correct. That motion has been made and seconded, so the question before the board is whether or not Councillor Mallard did not violate any other provisions of the Code of Ethics. Stephen, how do you vote?
No.
It's a no. Mark?
Yeah.
Yes. John?
Yes.
Yes. Cody? No. 3-2. He did.
No.
No,
Did not. Yeah.
he did not. Right.
That's the end of the vote, and that concludes that business.
Correct.
Is there any new business left? Excuse me, is there any new business before the board? One, Steven, do you have any new business that you're aware of that is before the board?
I do not.
Moving on to other business. Is there any other business before the board?
I'll just say that I will prepare findings of facts and conclusions of law based on your deliberations and vote. I recall the ordinance, you have to vote on that within 30 days, so I'll try and get that out to Shane for his review within 7 to 10 days or so.
There's been there's been a small bit of confusion. It's not a major thing. Maybe you would know as your history in doing the work that you're doing. I was asked if the board had signed that findings of fact, and we had sent 2 to the council without signatures. The city solicitor's office seemed to think that was fine. If that's what we were doing, are we supposed to sign that as a board? Like a literal signature? And if it is, we can do it. I just didn't.
I had that discussion with Dave.
You did, okay,
too.
then you're ahead of it, and
I can tell you on the Board of Appeals, we signed them,
okay,
but it's not a requirement anywhere in the ordinance or in statute that has to be. So you just have to vote on it. And then the minutes will reflect that they were either approved or not.
we might start competing with the Board of Appeals. We might start signing. I told Mary in the solicitor's office if she needed us to sign things, like, I'll take it around or I'll sign it as the chair. I don't know. I just didn't know if there was a thing that.
It's not required.
Excuse me. And so there is, Stephen, I apologize.
Yes.
It's been here a while. Did I circle back to you about other business?
No, you did not, but I do not.
Okay. Well, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
To adjourn.
Just
adjourn.
Well, I can, it's one of the things I can do.
I'll list down it.
I can, yeah, right, yeah, you could doubt.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Stephen.